when I saw the chat room.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the team.
Thank you indeed. Any other question? Oh, we see this again. List of pictures.
We have a previous question, but not directly with the system of Klaus there right now.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, in the Q&A in the Zoom, Aileen asks, I'm Aline from Romania. Please ask this question, Mr. Kesh. Will help us to the next step on many. The first step, I found the position of my soul with the help of the speakers in my ears. The question is the second step. How do I see the light of the soul from the localized point? Thank you.
There's something called a hospital, and they have different machines like MRIs and CT scan. You ask them to do a scan of your brain in a very small gaps, then you will see it. Or like me, fall on the floor and they take you to the hospital, they take a picture, and they show it to you. The amazing thing is, World of Medicine have seen this, but they don't know what it is. They just leave it as it's there. But it's not something new. But if you've seen certain CT scans or MRIs or computerized animation of the brain electronically, you see it's there, it's always been there, but because nobody ever thought what it is, they never understood what it is. So you found your position with the microphones, what they call the headset. Now you can go and see it and see how big it is. And by the size of it, more or less, you know the state of your own existence. It's very strange.
Would the viewpoint be from that localized point that he found through the speakers? In other words, if you're looking from that point,
what it is, yep.
Do you see the light of the soul from that point, or do you have to be beside that point or outside?
No, when they do the CT scan, you see this very clear. This is part of the work. I don't know if you can explain it. Let's explain it some other way. Maybe with this new system which is getting developed, and you just seen with Klaus, and then it come as a food system, you can literally feel it. In the structure of these systems, the way you sat with the stereo between your head, and you found the position of the soul, more or less. When you will sit in these systems, in a way, you will go through emotions, because it's not just breathing. And then at a certain point, you feel detachment. You, in a way, sit outside, watch the totality. Even though the essence of your soul is still exists within the physicality, you will find, you will feel it. I didn't want to discuss this for the time being, but now the question is on the table, you will understand. When, in the coming time, our researchers managed to find the right combination, where the soul of physicality finds satisfaction in existence and reflects the affection of the soul of the man, you will feel it. You understand exactly where it is. Listen to the Universal Council teaching of this week on Tuesday. I explained a lot of things in that parameters. Then you understand more. This new system, because it has no motors, the limitation of the field of the matter state above copper and zinc has passed, you will reach at a given strength the level of the strength of the soul of the man in condition of the physicality, the soul of physicality, and the soul of the man itself. In the future time, the way you load up these two will interact with the soul of the way you load these two or the other sets, you interact with the physicality, soul of physicality of the man. In the coming time, when the man in decades or whenever man matures, you create a condition of the planet where or a space you're going to, and by controlling, creating condition of the soul, you will see the manifestation of how you're going to go, because then dictates the position of the physicality. If you change the position of the soul of the man and the position of the soul of physicality of the man, man in no time can behave like a fish in the ocean. You don't need to wear clothing to be fish. This gravitational magnetic field of the earth has attached man too much to the false information about his own existence. This is a progressive development, and in a coming time, I'm sure when Austrian Keshe Foundation releases the dynamic reactors without the motors, where in a way the condition of the rotation of the fields of the systems will interact with the body of the man unconditionally, just totally like the earth and the sun, then when the man is in there, what do you want to listen? The soul of the man, the essence of the soul of the man came from the rays of the sun. Then you understand the physicality becomes irrelevant. We're just about there. In the next few months we'll reach there. Now our team understands why just before Christmas I said we're going backwards, that we're going forwards. Now we're going forwards. Now we're going where we should be, and we should head in that direction. Then the position is very clear, the understanding is very clear. Is John from Arizona online? Can we see him in the background?
I'm here.
Hi John. John, can you show us the last video you sent me this morning?
The one with the mag grabs on the table? Or on
Yeah.
the floor? Okay. Let me put up and I'll come right back.
Okay. If you join up what we just saw with Arizona, with Austrian research people, and in what now is achieved in Arizona, you will understand a lot more where the Keshe Foundation is heading for. As I said, these are independent research groups, they do their work. And it's amazing how the two don't talk to each other in a way, but they are doing research that will converge to one point in the next few weeks. Collective field distribution with understanding of transfer of energy through the strength of the emotion of the man and the soul of the man. They're just a little bit off, they're still playing around, but more or less that's where the whole technology is heading for. Where we can feed, we can transfer energies, we can create conditions for physicality of the man, and where we can extend the knowledge into control of the systems through the emotion of the man, through the soul of the man. John in Arizona is going in that direction. Okay, can you show it to us, please? I stop sharing. You got to understand the knowledge behind this and the reason behind this.
Okay, so now this video is not a very good video. I didn't do a very good job with the camera, but it's a very short video. You'll get an idea of what we're doing.
Would you like to show the video and then open it up and explain what is what? Okay, the position of the reactors, which reactor is and what they do.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, we're here in Arizona. And David's got his violet ray machine. It's not working as good as it normally is. But what he's done is he's hooked it to the wires without plugging the wires into the wall. And we have 3 rebuilt magraphs around the outside of this setup here. And you can see with the beeper, this is a whole plasma field, but nothing is plugged into the wall.
Okay, now we know we see your screen page, YouTube. So can you go back on it again and can you explain to us what are those things hanging over the bed and what's underneath that we see? Just go forward.
It's not working as good as it normally is. But what he's done is he's hooked it to the wires without plugging the wires into the wall. And we have 3... Okay, so what you're seeing now is we connected 3 magraphs together. The magraphs are not plugged into the wall, they're just plugged into each other. So what we've done is we've created an energy field, a dome, if you will, of energy. And we're feeding that energy with that violet ray machine. So we're feeding it with a plasma field coming in versus the electrical or the DC power. And what's happened is with that little beeper, and I know I'm moving it around a little bit in the video, but what's happened is it's created this bubble around the entire environment of this bed, and it's actually activated the balls that aren't spinning, but that whole field is now activated. So we built magraphs. around the outside of this. So you can see that these rings, what we've got is different GANs rings with various materials. We have these hanging balls that spin. We don't have them spinning at this particular point in time, but when you lay down on this bed, you're able to get the feels from this one's turned sideways, but that's why I say it's not a very good video.
Yeah, so what you've done, you've made the base of 3 cores, and you have the magnet, or what you call it, balls with GANs in them on the top, not necessarily rotating.
Yeah.
And with the 2 rings on the bed, you have created a field around the bed, strong field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like a dome. It's actually like a dome now with these magravs sitting on the floor. It extends up above these other reactors.
So can I ask a question that is, there is no power supplied into the magrav except the high voltage zapper in a way.
Correct.
As I asked you before, would it be, if you could take a video of just keeping the zapper close to the magrav units and not necessarily touching it, and to see if the field changes?
Yeah, we can do that.
And if we can see the noise of your zapper or your noisemaker, your detector, without being close to the magrav units, to see if it's in the open space or near the unit.
So the violet ray by itself will put out an energy field.
Yeah.
But it's much smaller than what we've created with this with the magravs. I push it.
How smaller?
It's more of a I don't want to call it a straight line, but it's so the person that's using it, it'll go out about 2 feet.
So after 2 feet, you don't hear the zapper going, your noisemaker.
Correct.
But when you put it through the magrav system, which is no power,
right,
you hear that the zapper going.
Yeah, we open up the fields all the way around that entire bed area. And
okay, if you
the zapper is the fields are actually much bigger than the zapper, probably by an order of 2 or 3 times.
So what will be interesting is if you can show us next week or next time how you transfer the field, and then if you change the strength of the zapper from the base without actually touching any wires or any other magrav units, or you just touch the environment of the bed where the rings and coils are, would that change the field dimensions?
Yeah, we'll check that out. Now we also have a Van der Graaf generator that'll generate a zap also, and we might try that one as well.
What I'm trying to explain, this is transfer of plasma energy, but at the same time, if we can convert this back to energy to feed the zapper, you understand?
I don't think you're gonna feed the high voltage zapper.
You don't need the high voltage zapper. You got the ganses which can be used as transfer dumping energy into. You see, what you have to realize is that you just measure the energy. Let me see here. You're just measuring the energy somewhere here with your zapper. This is the circulating energy around the bed. But this energy is absorbed by these coils as well.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So, if we understand this, especially from the Austrian Keshe Foundation, if you understand what I'm talking about, you can convert this energy into power. This becomes the Earth gravitational magnetic inertia. When the field hits it, it creates heat and energy transfer. It's a bit too early, but you understand in the coming time. You should be able to produce such a system. Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you.
Okay.
This is where you see if you can give us some more insight into it, and then we can go further with it. Any other question?
I'm looking for hands and looking for questions.
No questions, we go on.
I think you better go on. Thank you.
Okay. What is important for us is that the interaction of the fields and interaction of the plasmatic field will allow us to develop new insights into the world of the science of space. What this means is, for example, if you just look at the picture which is on the screen now. Look at the stars and look at the lights of the galaxies. This is pictures taken, maybe accumulation of 2 or 3 pictures to show us the galaxies and whatever. If you look at the fields as an image, it looks like a dog. It's got a head, it's got a tail. It's literally, if you look at it, that's the head of it. If I can draw it, I can get a thicker line on it and get, you look at it, this is like an animal. The collection of fields of the organs of the body of the man gives man the, what you call, a boundary image of the physicality. And so if we understand this, we see a lot of different things in the whole structure. And we see everything in the universe as a physical dimension of fields. Where the mass, the totality sits, if you look at it, it's very simple. It's amazing what, when I look at it in the sky and when I see the pictures from different space agencies, I see life. If you look at the deep space and you look at the galaxies, it's like a big city. Each one has its own shapes. Each one is different animal, different creatures. Because we look at the position of the stars, but we don't look at the magnetic field of the stars. We look at the shape of the galaxy, but we don't look at the magnetic field that galaxy creates. Then we understand that whatever we decide to do, whatever we have, is not necessarily unreachable. We can understand, and then we can go from macro to micro in the universe. We can go from the energy to matter and the matter to energy. Now the whole cycle of the knowledge of the man is complete. It's just that for us to understand more what we call in English nitty-gritties of it. The dimension of the space is no different than the dimension of the body of the man. The body of the man has a heartbeat, it's dynamic, it has a flow of fluid, and as we see, for example, nowadays in the space of the planet, we see flow of the rivers under the oceans, which with it creates condition of life and warmth and other things. Now that we become wise to the dimension of the space, we'll see the same thing. That what we'll have is very soon in our process, we will see rivers, oceans of fields. And we start using these oceans, we start using these rivers of fields. We learn how to get into them and how to get out of them. To travel with the spaceship, it takes you 1,000 years. To travel on the rivers of the magnetic field of the universe, one day, maybe even less. These are the stages that the mankind has got to go through. Part of it will be taught to man once you enter the universal community. That's, we don't want crashes, we don't want damages and dangers. You'll be taught very much like going to the school, learning how to drive, where to drive, which roads you can go in, which there's no entry. But fundamentally, the whole knowledge of universe gradually is opening to man. And we have to open to it to be able to enjoy the beauty of it. Not to have a fear of what it might happen. Whatever happens to you on Earth can happen to you in space too. The dimension of the opening and understanding the spans of the universe is the next level of teachings. This is why I brought in the subject of holography last week. Because more or less, man in the next coming weeks and months will produce the flight system, will produce the portals. It will produce the understanding of the totality. And in that process, we have to learn how to use it. What is the consequences of the use? What does it offer us? What does it bring new dimensions in? For the past few weeks, I watched the, what they call Austrian team playing around, developing things and going from one thing to another. But now for the first time today, I can explain that this is the next feeding station. if you make a copy or GANs of an antibiotic or a GANs of a virus that is there, can be harmful, that you can take out of the body of the man, you just enter the machine. This is the next step in where Austria is going to. This is what we expect of the next knowledge, upcoming knowledge. As I said, in 2019, we are moving towards universal dimension. And this brings us to this point. In upcoming presentations, these systems will be shown. That it can allow governments to make a decision, the decision makers to make a decision. And the beauty of it is coming from all the Cashman nations around the world. It is for us to start understanding the next step of the use of whatever it is. It's like I've taken you through the, what we call mechanical workshop. When you go in, they give you a screwdriver, they teach you what a screwdriver is. What a screwdriver goes for what. This is one day I was explaining to Caroline. People just get a hammer and they just hammer. But if you look at people who've been through a proper course of engineering, they choose the hammer for what job. But to ordinary man, a hammer is hammer, just it's a hammer because you hammer it. What a screwdriver used for what purpose? That when you are given to build an engine, you don't hammer it with a one sledgehammer to move a small nail. I've seen people doing it. When you go through mechanical workshops, and sometimes you have these, what we call equal opportunities, sexes, the girls come in, and some of them are very, very good in engineering, and some of them they come in and just get a hammer and voila. I watched it happening and I thought, my God, where the thing is going. And so now we have to learn the tools of using the systems. Up to now, we have shown the screws and nuts and bolts. Now we're turning the tools that we can put the engine of the space travel together. As I said before, taking off and landing is very easy. My beautiful nation of Iraq will show you. Capturing things in the space is a total. But going into destination, not landing in the middle of the ocean and landing on the right place, ending up in the same position, not losing your physicality behind where the spaceship is somewhere else. This is the next step of teaching. In a way, you have read a very small part of the manual. We have shown you the color, and they've shown you the car. Now we want to take you to show you the roads. How do you get on these highways of the space travel? It's not just in the space. Man very soon will find out these magnetic field flows are dictated by central gravitational field force of the Earth. The way we get on the, if the wind is on the back of the jet plane, if you travel across one side of the world to another, you arrive an hour earlier, or if it's against you, you're heading into it, you have a more slower flight, you're 10 minutes late or half an hour late because you have to overcome it. Man, the next steps will learn that the magnetic field around the Earth has the same properties now that we have changed the engine. We have moved into plasma field technologies. Every planet has a magnetic field flow pattern. And if you learn it, if you understand it, if you can plan it out and you can map it out, this has the same effect. Each layer of the gravitational magnetic field of this planet, due to its inertia and through its gravitational field forces, creates a very much a dynamic field flow like the rivers on the bed of the oceans. And you can get in from top of the Pacific and end up in the middle of Atlantic or the North Atlantic. Depends on the temperature or the salinity. Depends on the gravitational or the magnetic field flow. Same thing. As many of you know, you can easily go from South America into near England in no time across Atlantic. But if it depends, you have the right machine, then you can get on the right track of the flow of the rivers in the oceans. And it has consequences if you don't understand, and at the same time, the same pattern exists in the universe. And as I said, I brought this topic of graphic assessment to prove the universe is flat, was to bring this subject of understanding. That the next step with these computers, with these things, is for man to map up. To map out the planet. It'll be given to mankind in a very simple way when you join the universal community. Because in a way we don't want you to crash everywhere. But then it's a learning job. We put an L plate on the back of man's spaceship and say, now drive. We all know you're an L driver. You're just learning. Mankind is not the first race ever has joined in the universal community. So whatever new student is learning how to drive. So there's a structure set. And in this process, we need to be able to understand the work. We need to understand the motion. We need to understand the position of magnetic fields. If you look at this galaxy, which is in front of you, this little boy is traveling on about 100, 150 million. In outside, on the edges, is around about 100 to 100,000 kilometers. The light you see is not just shining out, is the interaction of the collective fields of its stars in interaction with the field of the universe. If you look at it, there is no difference between this and the Sun and the Earth. This galaxy is the Earth, and the universal field is the Sun. If you look in the background of these kind of galaxies, you still see the same rings of fields. It still has a pulse. Mankind in the coming time will learn a lot from these things. When you have a pulse, the heartbeat of the planet is not just a noise. It creates a spherical dimension wave, which when a man learns to come into it, will change a lot of things for mankind. The same is the solar system. It's like a beacon, just sends continuously like a blood flow, plop, plop. But man, with that heartbeat, gets a fluid flowing, in the case of the planet, solar system, and the galaxies is a heartbeat, which is like, has a pressure, has a magnetic field pressure. Entering it needs a skill. Departing from it needs a skill. At the moment man flies with the force of the matter state, when you travel with the field of the magnetic fields, it's a different ballgame. Would man in the future use combination of mechanical systems and electrical systems to direct? Might do. Some of the spaceships in the universe do, we learn it from man. Because it gives you a little bit of more accuracy in some cases. So, we have to understand the totality of the interaction of the fields, the path flow of the field. Understanding in whose house we cannot crash in just because it's on the corner of the bend. We have to understand how certain galaxies increase field flows, certain stars can be used for different purposes. The work of the universe is very simple. It's the man who has made it so difficult for himself to understand. Look at the images of the galaxies if you get a chance, which has been painted for us or been taken pictures of, and try to understand where is the center of this entity. What are the field forces of it? When you see the brightness, what does it mean? Is it the interaction of the fields of the system on its own, or is it an interaction with the others? We draw galaxies and we just look. Why? If you look at it, can you keep this picture up to show you something you understand? Start reading the systems, the way they are, and try to understand a lot of things from these systems, because it tells you a lot of things which is you were not used to it up to now. From now on you look at these kind of systems totally different. Most of these pictures, when you look, it gives you a lot of information. A lot of things about the behavior of this creature. If you look at this side, you see lights on this side of the galaxy line. You see light on this side of the galaxy line. You see light on the outside of the galaxy line. But if you look at a certain point, the color is different. Why? Why do we have this color difference on the band? Is this the magnetical field and this the gravitational field? This is interacting with the fields which are coming into it. This is going out, or is it coming in? Do I come into it? Just look at the pattern of the fields and the line of the brightness. How come it's dark on this side and bright on this side, between the same two levels? Is this what I call carbon 14, separation of magnetic field? You have to start studying the field flows according to what you understand from the plasma fields, not from matter state. Why do these stars shine in these positions as sub-galaxies in clusters? If you look here, it's very simple. Doesn't give me the option. If you look, there is a field flow. This is a pattern of fields. And then you see the pattern increases, very intense to the center. You can see it. It's not matter state, it's just fields. It's a creature. It's like you. He has an aura. He has a dimension of existence. They tell you now, our scientists from here to here is so many millions of years. If you understand the principle of working 10 million light years, they call it 10 milliseconds of light years. That's mechanical matter state of field. You work with the plasma. It'll take man hundreds of thousands of years to understand fully. But in this process, man has to learn a lot. Field flows, creation of these colors. Why do you have these colors? This is absolutely important for us. Why do we have these colors? Why do we have fields but we don't see much? But in totality, gives you the picture. If you look at it, I've drawn this one for you from the beginning of first teachings. But you have a complex. You have a magnetical sitting within a gravitation. Magnetical sitting within a gravitation. It looks at this system going this way on this gravitation, but his magnetical is feeding out. You can see it. And you can see the center of it. If you go inside this center, you will see a black hole. 100%. Because the energy fields are so compact that it creates its own matter state condition over itself, which means it becomes nano-layer to itself. Layers by layers of fields, absorbing fields, but at the same time, in the gap space, releasing energy. And that energy is so powerful, as it comes out, it creates such a bright light. But if you look at this on the sideway, it could be actually shaped like this. This is the bottom of the page, not the top of the page. If you look at this galaxy, most probably, or in other shapes, is a spiral of a shape of entity that it ends up with the center. In a way, you see the soul of the galaxy. Is this another galaxy, or is it tail lights of the animal? Where does it sit? Why does it sit? We have to start not spending millions of years studying bit by bit of every star, but understanding for the time being, I can get around it, I can use it. If I want to land here, what would happen to me? If you look, there are strands of light. All this has a meaning. It's not just there. It's the interaction of the field flow. If you look at the back of the book 1, you will see this as the field flow, and in interaction between the natural state, you see a field gap. All of them have it. This is the spaces where the balance is achieved. It's where usually is where we see majority of the carbon-14 in a plasma state, not in a matter state. We see it again here. This is within the arm carbon-14. This is within arms carbon. This has a vortex effect field flow. Which creates, due to increasing the fields, the rotation and pull of the arms. These galaxies cannot be tightened anymore. Most probably this arm was somewhere here billions of years ago. But as the galaxy has turned and tightened, it's taken that much closer to itself. If it goes much, much closer, then this line opens up and the galaxy, literally like a skin, opens back inside out. When you look at the tightness of the legs of galaxies, or you look at the structure of the galaxy, can even tell you how old it is, what process has gone through. Because what is in the center of this galaxy has dictated the shape, the color, the lifestyle on every star and solar system. It's still pulling fields from the universe. And it's still giving fields into the universe. The color, the brightness shows there is a field interaction with the fields of the universe. They strengthen as you go closer to the end of the first tails, where you see it, and then it manifests. Literally, you can tell everything about the life of the planet, or the galaxy, or a star, by just looking at the field interactions. This is part of the new teaching. This is part of the new technology. And with the systems which are coming up, and you will see, it will give you a very good indication of understanding of the whole world. If you tune your soul, which is the same shape, to the soul of the center, is my grandmother here. Or how I met my grandmother, but I didn't know where she was. this is beyond man's understanding, but as we teach, said others must understand their way, and man entitled. The structure of a galaxy and a body of the man has no limits. This animal here has to have 2 arms. You can see it, 1 arm, 2 arms. It's an octopus with 2. No more. So this environment of the galaxy dictates 2-arm octopus. Nothing. There is no more into this. It's a very simple system, and it tells you everything. Look, I try to draw it up, and then you follow it up. This is 1 arm. This is the second arm. Both feeding and taking from the same center. Is this arm bringing in, that this arm is giving back out? Is this what we call yin and yang? Balance of the 2. Don't look, it's always coming that way, but we see the central lines, we know the energy is flowing out in between. Can we make a system like this? In a way, we have. If you look at the double core system, it's exactly the same. Any other question?
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Case. This is John again.
Yes, sir.
Am I correct in my understanding that if I was to take carbon GANs, for example, and dry it down and then fire it, would I have the nano material of the GANs? And
No.
would it, no?
No.
Would it contain
Just because, as I said, just because it's black, it's not your uncle, is it? It's like the same price, just because it's got a mustache.
Okay, would it contain the spectrum of the carbon?
No.
Okay.
Because you added a new dimension to it, but has it taken the same or has it followed? You entered a matter state into a plasma state. You tested this before, if you remember. You fired the GANs of CH3. And it lost its magnetic field effect. What test you did, if you remember a few weeks ago, where you took a magnet and you put it on a heap of gases and you saw it flipping, you remember?
Yep.
Now, get a dynamic system with the gases and do the same and see how the gas above behaves.
Mr. Kesh, Mernaz has suggested in the Q&A here that she has a video that she'd like to show with a magnet with the energy fields of the body. It's part of a video she had prepared for teaching Farsi.
Have a look.
I haven't seen it before, but we could have a look if it's her own video.
If there is no music on it,
right?
That's something she's made herself. That's different. Can you check that in the background? You see what we see here on the screen. It's very interesting. Maybe You understand it? This is the collision of two galaxies. If you look, pardon?
I was going to say that this reminded me of an experiment I showed in the Kesh Plasma Reactor Group in my bathtub, swirling the water with my hands, where I tried to swirl both in the same direction, and they didn't really merge very well. But if both of them were in opposite directions, then they had like a mutual reciprocal thing going on, and it reminded me exactly of this picture. But carry on, Mr. Kesh. I didn't mean to interrupt your flow.
No worry. What I'm trying to say, if you look at this is a beautiful picture. If it is real, if it's taken from a real dimension, if it's not real, I think it is, you will see very interesting pattern. Look at this field. You look at this field. You look at this field has actually used to have a picture like this. You will see a very interesting pattern. This is this field, and this is disturbed field here. You look at the size, and you look at the size. A very powerful star is pulling his twin sister in. He has absorbed enough energy. You see at the point of entry, the magnetic fields are very much disturbed here. So you can understand how this disturbance of the fields here and the tail this way tells you that this is head-on. What it's going to do, most likely what you call it billions of years, this will enter this here. And when it enters this, because of the compactness of these wings, will go in straight away. It reaches the point of critical absorption. The creation of this third field here, which you can see coming in, gives you a very good indication that the galaxy is under pressure. You see disturbance of the fields. You see tail of fields. The effect is so much that you see disturbance on this side of the field of the galaxy. What will happen? Most probably it won't be much. What's going to happen? This galaxy will not be destroyed. The mother galaxy will stay. This galaxy will come to absorb. The field pressure increases. Most probably the wings will open up. At the same time, what will going to happen? This extra field mass which is added to it, it forces it. You can see the direction if you look at it very closely and understand the pattern of the work of the field. You will see what this thing is going to go to each other, what the pattern is going to be. And very, very simply, you can see a very clear indication. This, when it goes in, this is the direction you will get a new galaxy. Somebody's camera is open. Brick, somebody's camera is open. Can you shut it? It's on the smaller screen.
Marinus, could you close your camera? Or pardon me, it's Paul in this case. I'm just trying to. There we go. We got it.
Thank you. So in a way, you can see where the fields will open up. You see a lot of disturbances. The whole galaxy pattern of fields is disturbed. And in so many ways, you can see this in millions of years will open up to creating, and it stays the same. The compactness of the wings shows the strength of at what positions the galaxy is working. You see here the fields are outside the pattern of the mass. Here you see the fields being the tail end of the mass. And you see here, very simply, the first wing of the galaxy has opened up. You see it here? So when it come in, it has opened up. It's on its way in, this way. Then you're traveling. Would you like to go through this and understand the massive changes and play with your life? Or you choose to touch this magnetosphere and go that way. Yep. Can we have a look at it, please?
Okay, Ernest, maybe you can.
Yes. I don't know. I have the video. Hello, everybody. Mr. Cash, Rick, everybody. And I have my my video open in front. How could I get into your?
You want your video? You have a video on your desktop that's open, and you want to share it.
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Do you see where it says share? The green share button somewhere there.
In your okay,
in Zoom.
In Zoom. Just a moment, please.
The share button.
All right. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It takes time. So you see the share button? Can you click on that? You'll have to go back to your Zoom application there. You see the taskbar in Zoom or some...
It's got a green sheet, a square at the bottom. It says share.
Can you control my images from your...
No, we cannot.
You have to share it. And you have to do that in Zoom, not on your desktop.
If you open your Zoom, you press the green box.
The thing is,
یه جعبه سبز رنگی اون پایین هست. باید اون جعبه سبز رنگ رو فشارش بدین. یه بهش کلیک کنیم باز میشه. بعد بهتون 4 تا جعبه بالا میده. دومین جعبه رو دست چپ رو باید بزنین میاد بیرون.
Okay. Seems like God don't want this.
Okay,
you try to show it next week. No problem. Try to sort it out. We'll show it next week. There's no problem. There is a lot of effort is going on in the background with the Iranian community in teaching in Iran with the Keshe Foundation. And we try to support. Azar is one of the people, Hassan and Dr. Parviz and Dr. Azam. and many other Iranians are trying to bring the knowledge understood very rapidly and its application in Iraq. Thank you very much for all your help and understanding of the need of the technology. That will change the course of a lot of things. I think we're coming to about just the time that we can call on our the Keshe Foundation for this month's journal, which is coming tomorrow, 1st of the month. Ella, are you there? Are you ready?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Mr. Keshe. Thank you. I will just share the screen now. And please let me know if you can see the screen before I start.
Yes.
Yeah, looks great.
Great. So like Mr. Keshe just announced, this edition, the 8th edition, February 2019, will be published starting with tomorrow. And today we will be showing you the headlines of the magazine. I hope you like the cover. We do. So let's just get to the table of content. Okay. As we are used to in every edition, we have the articles split per sections. And of course, the first section is part of the Keshe Foundation news. And we are basically summarizing for everyone the main topics which were discussed in the Knowledge Seekers workshops and the recent announcements that were done by the Keshe Foundation. And in the February edition, we have the article Position of the Soul and What Are Our Dreams, which was presented in the 259 Knowledge Seekers workshop. We have the explanation of the eye as a doorway to the soul, which was in the same 259 Knowledge Seekers workshop. Under the same theme is also about the soul of the man, which never sleeps, no matter how long our physicality is sleeping, the soul of the man never sleeps. Then we also mention about, the freedom from physicality, and this mainly focuses on the fact that we can travel in whichever form we would like when we are in space. So we can travel without physicality, or we can travel free from physicality. It's everybody's choice. And another article is reminding us about the unified field theory. This is based on the article that is published in Mr. Keshe's book. And it explains to us that however we see the fields differently, the magnetic and the gravitational, it only depends on the point of the observer, and it's actually the same field. This is why it is called this unified field theory. And we do encourage you to purchase the books on Amazon so that you can read the full paper about the unified field theory. Another article that we were enlightened with was regarding the carbon-14, and this is a gift we have received from through this knowledge, through Keshe Plasma Science and Technology, for the man to stop the killing, the habit of eating and eating by killing other living beings. Feel free to read more in the article and the explanation. One question which arose in one of the workshops was regarding the Earth's polarity change, and we have Mr. Keshe's explanation on what will happen during the Earth's polarity change. Next, we have been informed about the formation of Cybro, and this is the new space agency formed from the 6 nations, which were announced to host the portal for the union with the universal community. And then we go to the KF Plasma Times for the KFSI education part, and we have the collaboration with the transcribers group. I thank very much for the effort that was put into writing these articles. And we invite you all to participate in transcribing Mr. Cash's teachings. If not for the community to get the readable information and searchable information online, then for you to understand more the technology, because by writing and by reading it once again, you will get more in depth about the meaning and knowledge of the plasma science.
Can I add something here, please?
Yes.
Please. Thanks to Azar and the Iranian community, all the Keshe Foundation teachings, the 260 teachings, very soon will be available, transcribed both in English and Farsi. All the 260 public teachings, and hopefully if we can get this done, I have looked at the preview of it, it's beautifully done. The teachings are translated to Farsi, and the English transcription and the Farsi transcription will be available very soon. This is done in Tehran by the Iranian Keshe Foundation support team, and this is one of the beautiful things when the Iranians get involved, it'll be done to perfection. So now all the transcribing of all the teachings from now on will be done in Iran. There's a preview, if Azar was available today, I know she's in Amazon, will be shown. And so we're taking a lot of pressure off the English transcription. Very soon we just need you to transcribe it in your own language, in any of the members of the transcribe group, into Spanish, French, or whatever. The English version will be automatically available very soon. It will be done in Tehran very rapidly and will be brought back up. This is again, as I said, thanks to Azar and her father in Tehran and the Keshe Foundation team. This gives us a lot of freedom, and what we see, this gives us opportunity to start transcribing more or less most of the private teachings in the coming time. We'll have a look at it in the coming time. Persian book number 1 is completely done and soon will be available on the electronic version. Book number 2 is got on the transcription too. So to our transcribers, we will provide the full 260 teachings in English in a very short time, as it's getting completed, and then we try to catch up that the last one is done very rapidly. It's something we have to speak with Azar to sort out. And so we won't be any delays. It's just that transcribers to translate it or transcribe it into different languages, that makes it very easy for everyone. Go ahead, please, Azar. Ella, please.
Thank you, Mr. Cash. What we can also say for the transcribers group, they can also help in reviewing those translations if they feel to do so, because then they get a feeling about if the translation is totally accurate, and then we can improve always. But there is a big collection of videos in the private teachings in English, which you, Mr. Cash, have taught to us in 2015, 2016. So we have plenty of material that needs to be transcribed. So we thank everybody that is involved, and we look forward to more. Okay, now we go to the next section, which is the section of the plasma products, and we have offered this month the place for the Chinese research team, which have prepared for us the decorative plasma products. And these are very versatile products. They can be used anywhere, and we encourage everybody to get their own as soon as possible. In the Plasma Scientific Journal, we have a surprise, and the surprise is the reminder about one of the first experiments we have been faced with, and most of the older knowledge seekers probably know all the fuss we had about the KT liquid and excitement and trying to guess what it is, trying to repeat the experiment. So here we have it. It's universe in a bottle, the cola bottle as plasma reactor. And we encourage everybody, especially the new people that just arrived in, to try this experiment. It's a very interesting experiment.
This is bringing back a lot of memories. I have made many of these bottles, and the cause of the problem of the Keshe Foundation, or the cause of all the problems we have, and we were put as a terrorist organization by the Belgians, was trying to steal this technology. All the problems I faced in Belgium is because of this bottle. Because if you look what is hanging in the bottle, inside it looks like a parachute. We gave this when a company in Belgium approached us and they wanted to test this. We gave them one parachute to test. They took the nano coating of the parachute, which we have tested, you know what it is, and they found on this layer graphene, which at that moment was a miracle to produce. Even now is not easy to produce. And what the stupid scientist at IMEC wrote, because of his ignorance, graphene can only be produced by gamma radiation, and this guy is a nuclear physicist using nuclear material. And then they put us on a list that we produce, and then they found out we produce graphene, because IMEC is a nano industry. We were far ahead of them through a Coca-Cola bottle. And the assassination and the cheating with Dirk and the rest of it started. That's where they brought this assassinate, Mr. Lorenz, into game. This parachute from this bottle. And it's a huge breakthrough in the world of science, because we could, as now you see it, we can produce graphene very easily. And if you understand it, it's a lot of people for years they called it the magic liquid, the Keshe liquid, the plasma liquid, every name, but nobody ever called it caustic soda. And the beauty with it is, if you look at it, you're still following what is in that bottle. It's a beautiful message in that bottle. At the bottom, there are ganses. At the top, there are nanomaterial. Each strand is different height and different position, creating a wind, which leads to creation of hydrogen. And in so many ways, deuterium and tritium. This message in this bottle is so strong, and when I look at it, it brings back so much pain with this stupid nation. And all because this is where this message was carried on and assassinated. Mr. Lorenz was brought in to assassinate as a pattern writer. And it brings back a lot of painful memories, but it's good to see it. It's fantastic. And the whole structure of it has a beauty that if you test this many times, don't look at the electrodes, look at the red cap on the top. You'll find out when you take the cap off, there are hardly any threads left. Due to the pressure on the condition on this end, and there's a little button at the end of the bottle, you create atomic hydrogen. The carbon gets absorbed in the layers of the copper and releases atomic hydrogen, which is part of the space technology. This is how we fuel the space reactors. Thank you very much, Ella. It brought back so many memories. That's a surprise.
Thank you. I was hoping to bring only good memories back.
But it is. This is how we got involved with this stupid nation.
Mr. Cash, you see in the description here, it says, this starts the hydrogen ionization process, where this process replicates the working of an entire spiral arm of a galaxy, which is exactly what you've been talking about today.
It is there. It is. It's very interesting how the height you put on it. These are copper nails from the roofing. We call it parachutes, and the extension of this is, you've seen it in the what we call the empty box of universe, and the sphere where you see the electrodes hanging. We could dictate the position of it, the flow of it, the field flow of it. There's a lot of I have made many of these just to study patterns of the field flow, extraction of materials. Current flow in these electrodes is very interesting. If you, for example, put your electrodes, let me see if I get it. If you put your electrodes, for example, here and here, and you monitor it, you see it goes to up and then it comes down, it goes positive to negative. And then you just change it to the other one. And then you bring it here. You see the flow pattern of the fields, how the pressures are created. When you test them in, if you dip in one, for example, electrodes in the liquid, it becomes like some system which has got a matter state. Then you see a different pattern. Usually you won't go more than 1.2 volts and very milliamps. It is very interesting that this cap is the condition, and there is a button here at the bottom. It's called, I forgot the name of the plastic, it's TPU, PTU. At a given pressure, due to the condition of the cap, this opens up inside. When you open it, there is no thread. This CO2 CH combination here, due to the caustic and the copper, and now you understand the structure releases the carbon, and you have totally hydrogen, pure atomic hydrogen. Never been done. It's so beautiful. It's never been done in the world of science. And with it, if you take these electrodes, we released this in 2005. And after it was claimed, and then there is a Nobel Prize won because of this by University in England. Just go and check. They were forever on our site, but soon will come out. The story of stealing technology by British, like Stephen Hawking and universities in Manchester, is a lot. I'll release it one day. You see this parachute is here. They are at different heights.
We don't see any of your drawing there.
Why not? Is Anna
on the top right corner up?
Yeah, it's the bottle in the top right, the one that has the black liquid in.
Yes, so this creates a vortex of winds, of fields, and with it, due to the shape of Coca-Cola, it pulls in the carbon and it gets absorbed in the layers of the copper, and it becomes graphene. That's where we see it. That's where we know where the graphene sits. Graphene comes through, and then with it, it releases atomic hydrogen. This is how the process comes, and this is how it stands. So the carbon, as the pressure, magnetic field pressure here balances. Now when you make a CO2 systems, if you remember, when you make it create CO2, now you understand you absorb the carbon from the atmosphere and it becomes CO2 at the bottom. You see some of it here, But this carbon gets pulled out, goes between the nano layers of the electrode of the copper as it's creating nano. When they tested it, they saw this as graphene is nuclear. Damn the nation. I stayed exiled for this stupid Coca-Cola bottle. Shame on the nation of Belgium. Carry on, please.
Thank you. We have also a submission for the Plasma Scientific Journal for Agriculture. This was an experiment conducted in Republic of Moldova, and it regards cucumber and tomatoes. How do they grow under the influence of various gases and the amino acids of those gases? So if you would like to see the pictures with the results, then please visit the website tomorrow, and you will see the magazine fully. Another Plasma Scientific Journal article, we have visual confirmation of a natural dynamic field flow in gases, and it is done by Joel. And again, it's another experiment that targets the visualization of how the gases show their field flows. Of course, we invite you all to please try these experiments that we publish and come back with feedback. Tell us what do you obtain, in which conditions, so we can add to the knowledge and to these articles. And from the health section, we have the processing of the food dipping in a condition of coma. And this is done by Giovanni. It's an article referenced from the Spaceship Blueprint Day, the day of the Mojan, which happened in 14th of April 2018. So we invite you to please go to the YouTube links and listen once again the presentation that Giovanni has given. And as well, you can read on the KF Wiki the plasma application, which includes this article as well. And last but not least, we still have the promotion Plasma Valentine, which is valid until the end of February. We will try to fulfill the orders as soon as possible according to the possibilities, because of course, when there are many orders, we have to react fast. So get your Plasma Valentine, my plasma pouch, which is a package of 4 items: the plasma relief pen, the plasma neck pad, the plasma relaxation mask, and the plasma magnetic insoles, together in a carry-on pouch that you can travel and have them with you anywhere, or you can have them at home, you can have them at the office, or you can have them when you travel during your visit. And the set of the K Plasma Care Delight, it's our collection of shampoo, shower gel, and liquid hand soap done with plasmatic formula. So we invite you to try them, and definitely put them as your favorite. And that is it for February edition. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Thank you very much. There is a position which has come up. Thank you very much, Ella. It's a hard work. As if you listen to Universal Council meetings of this week, the Keshe Foundation has become part of the structure of what we call national food security, international food security, and in being able to deliver a lot of things, a lot of materials. And in changing the position is that what we are asking from the Keshe Foundation community worldwide, we have shown scientifically, we have a lot of documentation to develop the agriculture of the nations. If you try to interact with the health and other parts of the nations, they all have all these structures around them. The best way, what we start supporting through the Keshe Foundation organization is the offering of the technology for increasing the food production of the nations. There is no restriction on agriculture. And this is the best way to introduce the technology to all the governments. What we are asking, and it will be done, supported by the Universal Council members, and is part of their responsibility, which is to come up, is to approach your agricultural ministries, agricultural groups, not private groups. This thing has to be handled through agricultural ministries, agricultural governmental organizations, and the way to approach is to tell them very simply, we provide documentation that we can change, we can influence the harvest, increasing the harvest with no fertilizer. One of the biggest problems for nations at the moment is the massive amount of nitrogen nitrites which are introduced to the grounds and creates huge problem. So what we are doing, what we are asking Keshe Foundation supporters to do, to approach your governments on agriculture only. There is enough support on Keshe Foundation websites and in some journals that you can submit, that we can support to increase the harvest. You don't need to go by 10 times, 5 times. We can increase the harvest without the use of fertilizer. We can increase the production without use of fertilizers. We would like you to approach your agricultural groups only. It has to be governmental, because then they can create statistics to confirm. Then the governments will take action on the production of what they achieve. You can increase the harvest by 40%, 50%. Do not claim 100% to 100%. Let them see it. And this is how we would like you to start supporting the foundation to take the Keshe Foundation technology into the next level. Poor nations are not interested in space technology. Poor nations are interested, governments, how to feed their nation, how to increase the harvest. It's what I explained is very, very simple. It's a very, very simple explanation, and I don't know any other way to explain it. And that is, if you look at something very simple, I've explained this before. Do you see my bottom line, or do you see my whiteboard?
We see the whiteboard with the earlier drawings.
Okay, you don't see my bottom line. Okay, let me explain to you what's happening. If you increase the harvest by 50% or by 40%, governments are more than happy with 25%. If you can increase the harvest by 50%. Let's see what happens to a government, and then what happens to a farmer. A government which produces 1 ton does not need to produce, if you produce 2 tons a year, the government needs to import 1 more ton or 2 more ton. If you increase your harvest by 50% to 3, the government needs to import half. Only by 50%. When you create 2 tons, the farmer will have, let's say, at $500 a ton, he will get $1,000 a ton. By the time of the seed and expenses, he'll be left something like 300, maybe $200 to $300. Meager living. When you increase the harvest by 50%, he has 1,500. You can see the scale of a change from 200 to 700. If you double, then you can see you walk a farmer out of poverty. No fertilizer, nothing else. This is how effective it is. Not only the nation starts importing, but the farmer changes life too. Political stability, national stability comes through the food. We've seen what happened in one of the governments very recently, trying to support the farmers to have more by helping them through increasing prices. It did not work. It came the demise of the government. This is what is important. This is what this technology is going to change. And this is what is needed. We do not talk about doubling, tripling harvest. We talk only about 50%, which is modest. No nitrite fertilizers. No pesticide. Shortening the harvest time. Reduction in water needs. Increase in the harvest and national income of the farmers. One of the biggest dilemmas for the governments has been to support the farmers, that they have income. They have tried everywhere, but the land is limited. In India, farmers are committing suicide because the harvest, by the time they pay, it leaves them with less than $100 per land. Now, the same process in India allows the farmer to make a living. The stability in the food brings stability and education for the children of the farmers. Implication of the technology is beyond once you understood. And this is where the governments and the nations will listen to every single one of you. The Keshe Foundation Agricultural Section will support this in every way. We deal directly with your government. You open a path, we set up the structure, we show, we deliver. Farming experiments, production experiments, tested result. It has shown that the seed does not change its genome. It means there is no genetic modification. We have all the proof. We can talk to your government. There is one extra possibility. This is a possibility. The Keshe Foundation, through some countries, possible, we can support the establishment of setting up the factories in joint governmental cooperation. We will clarify this in case by case in the coming weeks. Which means through governmental organization, there is a possibility that we can help for the factories to be set up in intergovernmental connection, not on private basis. This is the breakthrough. Reaching national governments to bring the change. To bring the dimension of change where we become effective as a technology. Later on, when they see the agricultural, you can talk about the health, you can talk about the energy, you can talk about the space. At the same time, what this gives you, a high quality harvest. Again, scientifically proven, higher protein rate, one of the best rates, one of the best quality products, in a way, again, scientifically confirmed by laboratories. Grain, like wheat grain, national average 11 to 30% to 20% protein, highest ever. Allowing that the products to last longer in the market, giving a stability of sale. Keshe Foundation, this is the target which we have asked the Universal Council members to start working on, supporting all the, anyone, anywhere to be supported. This allows, changes a lot of things for many people, reaches the poor. It takes something like 3 to 5%, 3 to 5 years to reach 50% of the farming community around the nation. These are what we see and we have tested and we can show and we can confirm, documented, signed, sealed, in the process of proof of technology, because it's getting done correctly. So we take the correctness from one nation to another and sharing it at the same time too. What is getting offered to a government, a nation, is national food security. At the same time, increase in the income of the farmers. And this is what has kept the farmers in poverty. The only nation which see this as wrong is the nation of United States, where they cannot put cheap materials, grains, into nations, because now it's worth for a farmer to seed, to farm. If you soak GMO seeds in a certain way, it overcomes genetic modification in majority of the cases. The quality of change of life for farmers is the backbone of majority of the nations in Africa, in South America, and in Asia. And we ask the Keshe Foundation supporters, please approach, don't go through, show anything else. Just agriculture. There is no FDA for agriculture. And governments through ministries will support. We come online. Keshe Foundation management team regarding agriculture will come online. Dr. Katwa is available. Number of people, expertise are there to support. In different nations are personally getting more because we collected a lot of data. We can support you. And what is the beauty of it? If we can deliver to your nation a factory agreement between two nations, not through Keshe Foundation. Governmental, intergovernmental agreement to build factories to support, to change agriculture. We are instruments, we have nothing else to do. We have delivered the technology, we have shown the quality of technology. Keshe Foundations around the world have shown the effect of the agriculture. And this is what we have launched from Universal Council this week. Do not go anywhere. If you're in Africa, approach your agriculture ministry. We come in, we support, we try. If you're in Asia, we do. We'll set up through Universal Council a group which will handle agriculture, and this is the way we go in to reach the nations, to change national food security, to bring stability for the farmers, to bring a system that in total is win-win for a nation. As I said, when a farmer has more, the children can go to school, the support comes through the nation, and at the same time less borrowing for these nations, because a good friend of mine is a central bank, ex-central bank director. He says, Mehran, I paid 85% of my gross national income just to import rice. We used to be exporting nation. Americans have brought so much cheap rice that my farmers are not worth growing to get the money living on it, and my nation is dipping into poverty. With this we can change. And this is all we're asking for. Do not go offer energy, do not go offer health. What we are and what we target is to change the whole structure of the agriculture. I repeat again. Reduction, no fertilizer, no pesticide. Increase in the harvest 50%. Do not claim 200-300%, 50%. Reduction in the season, harvesting. Reduction in the need for water. Increase in the income of the farmers. Increase in life and the quality of the harvest. Increase in holding harvest, which means will not rot in a short time. It creates a field around it that it protects us from infections and pests. Increase in national income and reduction in national power. Just this. Any Minister of Agriculture will speak to you. In some cases, if we can come to an agreement when we come in with you to help you to get this, there could be a possibility that the government, intergovernment agreement can lead to production, manufacturing of the products, GANS materials in your nations. Once that agreement reached, Keshe Foundation become the provider of the technology. This is the way we are offering now openly the Keshe Foundation technology to all the nations. You are in any African nation, take one day off, take half a day off, and find out who was responsible and tell them, I have such a thing, can I speak to someone? Just give webmaster@keshefoundation.org. Name, telephone number, we'll take the rest. Universal Council members will take over to complete it. never asked the Keshe Foundation followers to do anything, but I request from you to take this banner and take it across to your government. The foundation is there to support you. And we've done a lot of work in the background to allow governments to help the governments using the Keshe Foundation technology to change their position.
Excuse me, Mr. Keshe, we'll have to do a quick changeover in a couple of minutes here, so I'll just give you a warning. If you wish to continue, that's fine. We just have to take a few seconds out to do the Facebook changeover.
Okay, we can wait. You want me to sing a song? You can do it now. It's no problem.
Flint says 3 minutes. Can you do it right now, Flint, or do you have to wait 3 minutes?
It's best to wait just a little bit yet.
Just give me a hint when you're going to do it.
Okay.
So what we are looking at, the webmasters, the Universal Council has an email. You can go directly to them to take the pressures of the webmasters. What's the general email of the Universal Council, please? Are you there?
It's peace at the Universal Council.org. So peace at,
Peace.
yes,
Peace at. Yeah.
the Universal Council.org.
At universalcouncil.org.
The Universal Council with the article in front.
Can you repeat it again, please?
Yes. Peace.
Peace.
Yes.
Yes.
At
At.
the
Dot.
No. The THE.
All three words put together. THE, the Universal Council.
Let me try, maybe I can annotate.
Can you write it, please? Someone in the background as the. Rick, can you use your annotate and write it, please? Can you share? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just a second, Mr. Keshe. I've got it here. Just let me just make it bigger.
There it happens, yeah. Peace at the universalcouncil.org. You can see it here. If you write and put the topic agriculture, all the Keshe Foundation supporters, do not go there and we do. Let us handle it. We can support, and we can support you to show. We can deliver documentation, proof of technology, proof of increase in harvest, full support. And then they might say, we would like to test some. Most of the ministers will ask you, I have a private land, I can lend you to show me. No, you like to do it on agricultural land, agricultural premises, that it can be supervised and recorded by government. And then the data will take you on. This is my request from all the Keshe Foundation supporters around the world. The use of technology to agriculture is the best way to introduce a nation into it through its food. National food security and everything else which goes with it. Thank you very much. And
Hello.
hello.
Excuse me, I caught you. Sorry. I just made it for partager from sharing it from sharing. to show my video if there is a time.
Can we do it? Can we do it next week, please?
Of course.
If possible, as we are going into 4 years or 4 hours. So please, thank you very much. Please, we'll try to follow this every week and follow you through every structure and understanding of the work. And we support you. We try to explain to your officials. We always have translators, or you can translate for your officials. We don't speak all English, and we find a way to bring this change. And one of the best things we can in the coming time, for some nations, we can request for building of the factories agreement between nations, not through cash foundation. This way, us trying to finance finding factories is over. We finished with that. We try to organize a structure that, for especially what we call African nations and some Asian countries and some others, even some European nations need support, that we can go through this process. We have shown with the harvest, we go to the next step to bring it internationally, that everybody can be benefited. This is changing nations to one nation. This is a process we started. Thank you very much for today, and hopefully we can change a lot of things. And we can bring a lot of understanding to all of us. And as I said, we have gone through now not only new science, new technology, new systems you will see evolving, and new support coming through for different people, for different aspects of technology. Thank you very much for today. Thank you very much, the whole Keshe Foundation team in the background.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe, for yet another of the Knowledge Seeker workshop.